nail biter there, ladies. You had a slow start, but it came away with the win. I guess the question I'd ask is, at what point did you feel it start to turn around?
Um, I would say in the second quarter. I mean, we were down by a lot in the first quarter, but we came together, we played UCF basketball, and we just changed the momentum after the first quarter.
So, Mas, I see here you had a 17-point game. One of your biggest totals for the season, if not the biggest. I haven't had a chance to check, I'll be honest. But do you feel like you had your best game tonight personally of this season? This season?
Yes, I do. I think I was very efficient tonight. My teammates needed me to be efficient, and they needed somebody to step up, and I did that for them. So, it's just great to have a team win and be able to step up for them.
Diamond, of course, you had a good performance once again yourself. We had Tay as well with another big number, all her own too. The three of you having that whole veteran triumvirate, so to speak, take over. Was that something, like, it's obviously not something you talk about on the court, but when this core is down, do you feel like you three kind of form up to forward kind of the heart of the effort?
I mean, we're the captains, so I mean, Abe says it all the time, like, we're the captains for a reason. So when we step up, it makes everything a lot easier. So when we locked in, the team locks in, and we give energy to the team and other people, and then other people like, oh yeah, they go hard. We want to go hard too. So like when we come out in games like this and step up is really hard to guard all three of us. So just locking in and playing together and being on the same page is what we do every day. So we get outcomes like this down the road. It's gonna be fun to play with, I guess.
Fair enough. So earlier in the game, it kind of seemed like at times maybe shooting the ball that you guys as a team were a bit tentative, kind of second guessing, or maybe opting to pass instead of shooting. Did you guys feel like that's what happened? And if so, what do you think might have caused that?
I don't know. I wouldn't say that's not what happened. Sometimes we'll pass up a shot because we think maybe this is a better shot. But, once we realize, like, we are the better shot, that's when we started taking them. So, that's all it was. Like, it was just a mindset, we got to flip the switch real quick, and then, we took the better shots. That was, us.
Yeah, because you had a bump and a roll in Cincinnati. Do you think going into this game from that had anything to do with that, or?
Well, we just had to come out and play hard and play our basketball. I mean, we didn't want that loss, but I mean, we had to turn the page and we had to play hard and get back to who we are.
So Shania was in the lineup as well, starting tonight. How do you feel like she did this evening?
She was a good spot for us starting. She had great pressure in the press. She pressed the ball, made them turn it over a little bit. Just, as teammates, we get her confidence really high. She come in and do the little things for us. I mean, everybody's obviously worried about scoring, but like Abe make us look at the little things, defense and what helps in this game, and that's what she did tonight.
Okay, well, and obviously, give Tulane a little credit. They obviously had a fantastic effort all their own. What do you feel like they did to kind of spring off? What was it they did on the court? Like, I kind of noticed some picks underneath. You guys, to cause you guys to have a little trouble to get on the perimeter, they started to get a little bit hot. Is that kind of what you guys saw? What do you feel like was the key to them and their offense when they were attacking you early?
I mean, Tulane's a great team. I mean, when you look at it, they're one of the top scorers in the conference. So I mean, they're gonna always score. So we just have to stick together, really play our defense and talk to each other. Of course, it's the game of basketball. There's gonna be mistakes. There's gonna be things that happen, but it's how you fight and how you get through it. So that's what we did tonight.
And yeah, you mentioned the fight. I mean, you got a high-scoring team, and then you guys were down, and you managed to fight them off. What does they have here? 14 for 15 in free throws, and the shooting overall was very solid for them too. What does that? I mean, is that kind of just evidence of the fight you're talking about there?
I mean, yes, and it just shows us like later down the stretch. If we want to be an NCAA team, I mean, this is going to be situations like this. You don't know when you're going to be down. You don't know when you're going to be up. But what are you going to do as a team to fight? And I think that's what we did tonight, and that's what we showed.
Okay. Oh my God.
So talking about down the stretch just a bit more, obviously you travel to Wichita State, I believe, and then you come back for a makeup game against Temple. Obviously not something anybody expected immediately, but it's something that happened, because COVID. You guys have seen me in this mask multiple times, I'm sure, but with that in mind, what extra challenge is there to prepare for a game like that, especially coming back from a road game?
I mean, I wouldn't really say it's a challenge. Like, it's our mindset. So, like, we know we have to win these games. Like, we don't have no other option. So, do you want to win these games is the question. What's your mindset to come into these next two games within a 4-day stretch? and I think that's really going to be big. So as captains, we have to get our team ready for these next 2 games, which are going to be big games for us.
Fantastic. That's all I got.
Thanks, sir.
Excellent comeback, Coach. We kind of had the conversation with having rough starts, and we had a little bit of that this evening. With Cincinnati, felt like the same kind of thing happened. Do you feel like the bump in the road leading into this kind of led to kind of a tentative feel opening the game, and that's why there was a slow start, or what do you think it was?
I don't know. I mean, I think what we said they were going to do is exactly what they did. They were getting loose balls, they're getting offensive rebounds, they're getting transition. I mean, they score. They're monsters in those 3 categories. And so we just had to settle them down and let them know that, I mean, they're going to score like that. We can't foul them. We can't bail them out because they got the foul line 15 times, and they're really good free throw shooters. They scored 14 points. And so we just really had to, settle them down a little bit because the same thing at Cincinnati. Everybody's going to play a zone now. Newsflash. So at Cincinnati, it was the same thing. We weren't scoring, and then we weren't getting stops. You don't get to do that. Just because you don't score, you still got to get stops, right? And so that kind of was the message at all times, no matter what. Making shots, and you got to go back down and play defense.
And of course, Shania was in the starting lineup tonight. I would guess it would be to kind of counteract some of their perimeter play or to provide a little bit more speed in there. Or?
Yeah, she was great. I mean, she's so athletic and she can pressure the ball really well. And I mean, I think our team, we have really 9 players that anybody could start. I mean, I said that at the beginning. So obviously we came off a bad loss, so we just gotta, we're gonna keep mixing it up. I think that's super important to make sure that everybody's just ready to go at any time, because I think championship teams and winning teams, they have more than just 6 players that play a lot of minutes. I mean, we got 9 players in tonight, and that was good.
Right, and with that in mind, like you, of course, we talked about had the rough start. Where did you feel like the game started to turn around a little bit to where they were going to kind of righting the ship? What point do you feel like that you saw that?
Second half, Masseny hitting those high post shots. I mean, she hit a bunch, and so they had to change up what they were doing defensively because at first they were not guarding her at the high post, and she was making shots, and that's big because Moss, is not known to be a great high post shooter, and now that's a big threat for people that are watching the game. So then they had to switch up and they had to come up, and then it opened everybody else up. Obviously, Diamond was a beast, and Diamond. She came to play right away, and I thought it was great that we had more than, we talk about balanced scoring all the time, and Tay had, Moss had 17, Tay had 19, and Diamond had 21. I mean, those are our go-to players. Lisha's a go-to player. I mean, we have a lot of go-to players, but those 3, I mean, they came offensively for us in the second and third and fourth quarter.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned your veteran core there. Those are your captains. What is it that you noticed from your perspective that they did to kind of rally the comeback?
Well, I mean, we talked about that too. I mean, we had a bunch of meetings here after the Cincinnati loss, and they know it's their responsibility. They're captains. They got picked captains for a reason, right? And so it's like me, if we lose a game, it's my fault, right? I'm the head coach. It's my fault. Then it's my coach's fault. Then it's the captain's fault, right? And they're okay with that because they know that it's their jobs to get everybody ready. And they got a lot of pressure on them to do a lot of things, But when you're a go-to player and your team votes you as a captain, you got to lead and show up every night. So they did a really good job tonight.
No, I noticed you used the air quotes there talking about the high post shot from Masseny. She had 17 tonight. Do you feel like this was her best game of the season?
It's offensively, yes. Moss is always great defensively for us. Always. Doesn't matter which game it was, But she, 17 points. She needs to continue to do that.
We were talking about Tulane's free throw shooting. They're 14 of 15. That 15th, Destiny goes in and gets that rebound, calls timeout. I mean, that starts the trip towards the end of the game there. How big was the play in the last few seconds there?
That's what Destiny does. She rebounds and she hates to lose, and she goes in there and gets those rebounds. And obviously, we've been in a lot of situations like this already where we got to call timeout and bring them up, right? And they hadn't fouled us, so they had to get a bunch of fouls there. And foul. That keeps some time off the clock, right? So, but that's what Destiny's great at. I mean, everybody's great at something, and you got to be really good at the one thing you're great at, especially in big games like this. They're a really good team, really well coached. They got a lot of really great players. I mean, they're a team to reckon with. They're good.
Is there something that you noticed that's kind of a signature for what they do compared to other teams in the conference that helps them be such a high-scoring squad?
Well, they just got so many weapons that can score, and they got a lot of people back. I think Moon really really enhances them. I think Dinah Jones is a phenomenal player, and Ursula Clark is such a different kind of player. I mean, she's at the high post, and now our posts are guarding a guard, and she's just really tough. I mean, they have good players on the team. Crystal Freeman didn't come offensively as well as he did a good job pressuring her, not letting her just catch and shoot and make shots easy. But I think those three are Ursula Clark, Moon, and Diana Jones are just they're like our three. You know what I mean? So they're gonna keep coming every single game, every single time they play. So and she plays a different kind of defense too. I mean, she usually goes miss man, but because we weren't pushing down as quick, and we did, we told them to go to the rim. We got some layups, and we got to the basket, and they got to the basket. We got some shots. The Moss got a rim run, blah blah blah. But if they didn't, and they settled back into their zone, and that's exactly what Cincinnati said. So that's why I said newsflash. So we got to get really comfortable in it because our man sets are really hard to guard. We're really hard to guard in man.
What do you think you need to get more consistent at going down the stretch, getting ready for the tournament?
Yeah, I mean, just locking in, I think, and I think our captain's got to really understand that everybody's going to give us their best game. Our team needs to know that. We said that in the locker room, like, we can't go into a game where 5 years ago, we were the underdog and we were going after the top teams, right? So now it's like I don't care what in their minds they think who's good and who's bad. Everybody gives us their best game, everybody. And so I think that's something that's new to them, really, to come in and understand that everybody's going to give them their best game ever, and nobody's going to back down.
Do you feel like earlier on some of the offensive effort, it's like that they had an extra pass when they had a chance to shoot? Was there a little bit of I don't want to say timid. That's too strong.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, shoot it. You can't even imagine how many times we say shoot the ball. Shoot the ball when you're open. Just shoot the ball when you're open. You got Desco, she'll go get it. You got Tate can get offensive rebounds. You got Masseny now. You got Brittany got some big time offensive rebounds there in the second half. I mean, she went after him, right? So, I think it's just they're so used to playing man. People playing man against us. These two teams that we just played zone. Wichita State's gonna play zone. So we got to get super comfortable. Does it look like they don't practice at all? We practice zone offense a lot.
Well, and to Tulane's credit, they did shoot the ball really well to make it a little harder for you to come back. I'll certainly grant that as well. But going into the coming games, you got the road trip to Wichita State, and then you're coming back for a makeup game against Temple that was scheduled. I think it was like earlier in the month. Yeah. What unique element does that bring to preparation? We talked a lot about scheduling and those challenges, and you managed to crowbar a time in there to make up the game. But what is unique to have a situation where it's a game you didn't really necessarily expect on the schedule, but now here we come on a Monday, we're going to play?
But I think it's better because we had a long time off before we went to Cincinnati. And I love them all, but to keep them focused and locked in on that intensity is so different than game days and practice. It just is, right? And so I got to be creative in terms of those that long week was just way too long. I think personally, so I'm excited that we're going to have back-to-back games. I think we'll play better like that instead of these long, I don't know how many days it was, 6, 7 days off. That was a long time. Mm-hmm. To keep them locked in, the competitive edge. I think it's hard for anybody, not just us.
So when they have basketball staring them in the face, like that helps your preparation.
It helps their preparation.
Okay. I meant you as a team, right?
Yeah, but them, yes, because now they're going to lock in. They know they got a game to come. They know they got to focus. They know who's coming. We're going to have a scout report. It's not like I have a week off. What am I doing this week? I got all this time on my hands, so I think it's really good. A lot of teams are going to be playing a lot of back-to-back games, and they're going to be playing 4 games in 7 days. It's going to be a lot. All these makeup games, not just for women's basketball, but for men's basketball too. It's going to be a lot.
What's your message going to be now that they're going to start slow playing you in that zone? Your team thrives off that energy, and it's very evident when you have to match it. You guys overcome it, but when you get that slow play, what's your message to them to try and turn that switch, knowing that they're going to be facing that a lot more?
Yeah, we just gotta practice it every single day and practice and understand that. Diamond wants to get to the rim. Faye wants to get to the rim. They want to draw a foul. They want to but you can't really so much in a zone. So does Shania, and so we just gotta keep harping on. You gotta catch and shoot. You gotta catch and shoot. You gotta move the ball. You gotta get the ball down. You gotta move the ball, and when you're open, you gotta catch and shoot. You can't pass up open shots. You just can't. And I think we did a good, decent job in the third and fourth quarter of not, passing up open shots.
One last thing. Last week I was listening to an interview you did in a podcast, and the common theme is, well, last year she used to do this, but now she can do this too. And last year she used to do this. I'm not picking names because I felt like you went down the list and everybody has picked up a skill this season. How gratifying is that from a coach's perspective?
It's awesome. You can't be a championship team and win a lot of games if you don't work on your weaknesses. And I think we as coaches and the players, I mean, Tay's in here every night shooting. Like sometimes I'm like, you gotta back off because your legs, like you get tired. So we got a brand new gun. They're in the gym. They're like working on the game. So you see Tay can kind of make threes now, right? Diamond's in here. They're shooting and they're working on their game. They're working with their coaches, kind of getting some extra shots up. So I think the upperclassmen especially know that they have to always work on their weakness because at this level and these coaches are really phenomenal. They're phenomenal coaches, all in my opinion, everybody in the league. So we do the same thing. We're going to take away your strength and make you go to your weakness. It's the same thing that they're going to do to us, and I think that just shows how strong our league is.
Congratulations, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Sorry it took me so long. And Tay was supposed to be in here and she didn't listen. Clearly she didn't hear Megan.